working. Okay, so that's not working there, but that's okay. So we are live.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, if everybody just bears with me, I'm going to go live on Instagram as well, if I can here. Live. Okay, so that's going to be just sitting here. Okay. Okay, so just to say welcome to everybody. We've had a little bit of glitches again, as usual, but that's okay. It happens, and so I am going to be live here, and I have my laptop beside me, so I'm between laptop and phone. And Marcia is here, on. I suppose you'll see her if you want to see her. Go into LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. You will see Marcia there. So Marcia is a therapist with us for how long, Marcia?
Over a year, I think it's about
Yeah,
15 months now at this stage.
about
Yeah,
15 months. So
yeah,
yeah, so and it's just I remember speaking to you at the very, very beginning.
yeah.
Um, and I was really taken with the job that you had before.
And the
So
journey with,
maybe,
yeah.
yeah, so
Um,
maybe if you just talk to me a little bit about that. So we have a few people on Instagram. So if anybody is on the other channels, please just send us a message and let us know that you're there.
Please do. Yeah.
Thank you. And ask us any questions that you might have. So back
Um,
to you, Marcia.
Thank you, Mary. It's good to be here. My history, I have always been in the medical field. I've always wanted to help. I always wanted to go into either nursing or in some way capacity to help others. So I ended up doing that after a degree in science. So essentially, I did that, went into the hospital environment, worked as a cardiac physiologist for over 15 years, but
Yes.
knew halfway through that I kind of wanted to do something more and wanted to obviously be there in more of a capacity that was, long standing, and obviously want to support and help in a in much more of a degree than I could. As much
Yeah.
as I could help in that environment, and we did tests, and it was very much more clinical. People would open up to me, people would talk to me and express and talk about issues and problems that they were having, and obviously health concerns that they were having. So this was something that I felt more passionate about, and where a natural transition for me to come into this world, to
Right.
be a therapist. So that started for me, oh goodness, probably 10 years ago now, over 10 years
Right.
the journey. So and once I was in, I really felt a need and a desire to continue in it, to grow in it, to progress in it, to help others. And obviously enough, the more you learn, the more you grow yourself, and the more then you can expand and hopefully have the effect that you would hope to support other people and be there for others, with regards to whatever their needs or their issues are. So yeah, it's one of a natural journey completely for me. And yeah,
And what struck me, Marcia, was that you were working with the heart in the physical sense way
yeah,
back when. That really struck me, and that you continue to work with the heart, with the heart of a person. And it's just, yeah. So, and I know for tonight, for you, this is very much outside your comfort zone. You might talk a little bit about that.
yeah, of course I will. I want to reflect in regards to the heart. I remember
Yes,
with regards to when you said that to me first, and
yes,
that was a real dawning moment
yes,
attached to it, because there was an awful lot more in it with regards to always kind of tending to things that had a natural pull and a sway to. So it was something that I even reflect on still with regards to that
yes,
conversation. But I am not on social media. I'm typically not. I haven't ever. Um, I don't know as to the reason why, but
mhm,
I hope to over the next coming months. But I've always kind of been one to stay away from this type of aspect, but not for one of not sharing or talking or expressing.
yes,
It's just social media is amazing and provides such a connection with regards to things and to people all across the world. But I don't know, busy life, busy family
yes,
environment, all of these things have kind of hindered me stepping into that as much. And obviously enough, this creates this newness tonight attached to us doing this. And this is my first time ever doing anything social, social
yeah.
media in general. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and what a great
dipping my
job you're
toe.
doing for your
Thank
very
you.
first
You're
time. I,
very
I
kind.
remember back to my first time and being just a mess. So and I know for a lot of therapists as well, um, part of the training is, not to be seen, only to be seen in your room, and sort of all that strict sort of ness, which actually I feel is a barrier between therapist and anybody looking for support. That they
Yeah.
need to get a feel of us, who they're
Yeah.
working with, the genuine heart that's in us, because I suppose we see quite a lot, and
Yes.
it's it's important for us to show ourselves too. I really see that.
No, no, no. I would agree completely. And I think once you step into the world, or you get a sense of, whenever someone meets you in that, even on the actual platform, on the internet in general, or
Yeah,
any type of medium that you use, it's more the sense of hopefully caring warmth that you get from the space, and that's what we're trying to create. It's the sense of safety, the
yeah,
sense of feeling safe to engage in things that are difficult and challenging. And obviously there's strength in being and taking that step forward in order to, you know to go towards things perhaps that we don't want to, that we get
yeah,
distracted from, or we use different coping skills in order to, manage our day-to-day lives, but not necessarily engage in things that perhaps would be better to engage in, for a better life overall. Does that make sense? So it's,
well,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And also, the whatever we engage in, the body starts screaming. I'm a firm believer in that.
yes,
The
yeah,
body screams, and so much so that actually, no, I need to change something. And that's a
yeah,
really great time to come in to therapy and begin that journey with somebody who can hold you and witness you as you make the changes. Excuse me.
exactly. And to see that change, and obviously enough for people to engage and meet you at that level. Does that make sense? I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, there is such a sense of movement in it. There is such a sense of progress and the change that it brings about. And it doesn't necessarily need to be for a long time. It just needs to be for the time it's needed, and that can be for whatever amount that it needs to be for each person,
Yes.
individually. And it's very much, doors are always open. Does that make sense attached to it? So, like, once
Yeah.
we have that air and that sense of support, hopefully, for the person, and for them to then obviously engage in whatever issues that they bring to
Yeah.
counselling. But it's
Yeah.
to find the coping skills, to find the ways for them to manage, and to provide that platform and, a sense of space for them to engage in it, when we often don't give ourselves space. We don't give ourselves the time to engage in these things because of a busy life, busyness in general, and
Yeah.
overall a real sense of, um, yeah. So it's giving it back to ourselves is what we're
Yeah.
doing.
And
Um,
then sometimes that takes time,
yes,
Marta, and
yes,
and some people sort of they come in and they'll jump again and they'll come back in again and they'll
yes,
jump again,
yeah,
and then they'll come in and they'll settle.
yes,
Um, and
completely.
that lovely then relationship. And I suppose maybe even tonight just to talk about that piece, the relationship between the therapist and the person that comes. And I suppose for me, I have to say there is a feeling of it's not falling in love, but it's loving. I love um, the clients that I work with. As the relationship goes on, there is that feeling of all that love and nurturing that happens within that relationship, and then eventually them getting their own wings to begin to fly by
Yeah,
themselves, and it's like we sort of hold that space as they're beginning to grow into themselves, because what we have done really is that we have abandoned ourselves or lost ourselves somewhere along the way, or pushed, whether it's addiction or whatever it is,
yeah,
or not looked at hurts, which has actually maybe caused depression, anxiety. And
yes,
as we begin to uncover that, the body starts to strengthen, and resilience starts to come. And again,
yeah,
like the bird flying, I love the analogy of the birds and
yeah,
the nest. and
yeah,
and the bird flies, and it's not a sad day, for a
yeah,
therapist, even though I
no,
love them. It's that joy, um to see that actually that they have done this.
yes, and completely. And
And
there is,
completely.
yeah,
Yes.
and there is such a sense of being a part of the journey,
Yes.
and being there for the journey from the start to the finish. And there's something huge in the reflection piece, attached to how far or how much, has changed or been altered. And the
Yeah.
sense of being there along in that journey is like a privilege
Yes.
overall. Do you know what I mean? To have that care. And yes, you do. You wouldn't be in this profession, I don't think, unless you care or have empathy with regards to so that it's very much a sense of being there and bearing witness. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
To those issues, to the understanding for them, as well as for us to wonder and be curious with regards to whatever issue it is overall. In a very much non-judgmental, safe space, and very much one that creates a sense of the right time, the right space for them to move in the direction that they need to
Yeah.
move in, and that's what we're there to facilitate and hopefully
Yeah.
to bear witness to
Yeah.
throughout the journey. Yeah.
And to encourage the unsayable,
Yes, very
to
much so.
really, really encourage the unsayable, because it's like, and I think that's again such a really privileged place that we have,
Yeah,
that we get to hear everything. We get to hear the things that nobody else ever
mm,
gets to hear, and what a an honor, I suppose, and a privilege that actually we are afforded that trust
yeah.
from somebody else to allow us to witness and to bear witness, because it is maybe for the very first time that they're putting that out there.
And often it's sometimes the first time that they're saying it in any way, or
Mhm.
even processing it, or even given a chance to something, as you said, and the way you described it very aptly, of all the things that we suppress, all the things that we push down, that we keep, at a certain degree, again, to protect ourselves, because that's what our
Yeah,
body's always trying to do. It's
yeah,
always trying to protect and mind us, irregardless of whether that's the most appropriate thing for us.
no,
So it's very much for us to engage in that, and obviously give the time, when it's the first time it's being said also as well, and to pay heed when that we are in that position as well, very much so, yes.
yeah, yeah, and the picking up of the things, and
Yeah.
uh, yeah. So, what would you say that you like about or love about being a therapist in the field of mental health?
um I'm trying to think of where to even start. I have always wanted to help. I have had an innate want since I was a teenager. Don't ask me. I come from a somewhat caring background. A lot of nurses in my family, so the innate want is there. So there's more to the sense of, yeah, the need and the want to care for others. I always felt I had a capacity, does that make sense, or a sense of wanting to do more. And that's why I went into a medical profession in general. It was to obviously help and to be there and to provide support as much as I could with regards to others. This has taken it to a very different level. Does that make sense? It's
Yes.
more the sense of the privilege and the time and the weekly sessions or bi-weekly, whatever, when a person
Mhm.
dips in and out.
Yeah.
There's a lot to the overall sense of being there and being able to support someone, and the sense of the progress, with the reflection that happens. There is such there is no words, do you know, that kind of way?
Yeah.
It's the overall fulfillment, I think, overall that we get as therapists,
Yeah.
to be able to help and provide that support as much as we can. And we may be the only one,
That's right.
with regards to that. Yeah. We
Yeah.
may be the only one with regards to the support. So, like, there's more in the overall benefit that we are in that space for them, but also we're there to provide that and
Yeah.
to be caring and empathetic. And as you said yourself, you know, there is so much to that then allows a person to then move in the direction. Don't they always say, it's the one person or anyone, the care and the connection is what we're all searching for in this world, I think. And have a firm belief in that. So like there's more to the sense of, wanting that as a therapist and to obviously want to be there to help others as much as we can. Tricky question, Mary. I hadn't ever put
Yeah.
it to words, so I'm going to
Yeah.
be very honest and vocal
Yeah.
attached to it. but
Yeah.
I've always had a natural drive to want to be in this profession, and I can see it being long standing forevermore,
Yes.
hopefully.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'm glad to
absolutely.
be in
And
it. Yeah.
yeah, because I know for me, and you're way too young for this, but we used to get the Sunday World, and there was Dear Linda on the Sunday World.
Go on.
And
Okay.
I used to just read all the problems. Like there was just something in it
Yeah.
that I just had that want as well. Um to be a support and to know that that I have that ability to hold or to contain.
Yeah.
Um and that's it, is to own the qualities that we do have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sense of curious or wonder as well, attached to
Yes.
it,
Yes.
and the non-judgmental aspects attached to it as
Yes.
well. It's to be curious and wonder about things in a hopefully compassionate way, and in a way that critical voice that we all have, every single
All have.
person.
Hmm.
It's how loud it is and how loud the volume is on it that we need to address and have a look at and explore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's often what we're doing to ourselves with regards to that impedes us or impacts us in a more negative way than perhaps some of the issues or some of the relationships that might be, not where we would want them to be. So
Where
there's
we
a,
would
there's
want
a
them
lot,
to be. Yeah.
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 But
Yeah.
yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it is I was thinking about something there now and it has just left me. But I think what we might do is we might answer one of the questions. If you have the questions there, if that's okay. Do you have them there, or can
I
you
I can pull them up 1 second. So
great.
the
Yeah, no,
the
that's great because
one
I
of the
have my
yeah.
phone on here and I have the laptop on there, so I'm a
No,
bit
I hear
lost.
you. I'm flipping in and out as well of two different screens. So, the first question was, how can parents effectively support a child with ADHD? Um, so this is one. I have recently ventured into adolescent psychotherapy. So, obviously enough with regards to it, I do work with 13s and up. Um,
Yes,
and with regards to this, it as much as we can, there's an awful lot to ADHD, and obviously we're not psychologists, so we're not there
yes.
to label or put things on things. We're there to support. We're there to look at what the issues are, and obviously enough what's going on for the child, and obviously enough as well, or the adolescent, I should say, and be there to support the parents as much as we can. So it's to listen, it's to be present, it's to hear what the issues are, hear what the problems are that they feel are there, and to try and give an understanding with regards to perhaps even the pretense of what ADHD is, even
Yes,
for us. Now, I mean this from an adult point of view, a parent point of view, to involve, well, what is it? And what way does my child perhaps present in certain ways attached to this?
yes,
It's to find support. It's to get the schools involved, obviously enough if you feel the need to, for assessments. I know obviously enough with regards to it, there is a sense of want for certain things attached to
yes.
labels,
Hmm.
attached to figuring things out. So that provides security and understanding with regards to why I feel the way I feel, or why I perhaps, act the way I act. But obviously enough, it's more to support and to find coping skills attached to these feelings.
Yes,
It's very much to pull on family involvement for any kind of aspects, and obviously enough a kind and caring manner attached to this perhaps new time for them to address any of the issues that might be going on for them. So, like, the relationship is key. The relationship between the parents and the child, regardless of whatever the issue may be, it's to provide an open and honest and caring
yes,
platform. It's the support that is required, regardless of what the actual issue it is. As I said, not even with regards to if there was bullying, if there was
yes,
any aspects of things going on. It's to know that they could come to you and talk to you. And obviously enough, we're there to provide that support too. But again, we need to consider overall the sense of the adolescent is the person we need to consider most, and obviously enough that level of trust with regards to them talking to us and exploring these issues um, needs to be considered furthermore, and more with the permission of the child, and that we discuss with the parents. So all parties involved come together. Does that make sense, on an open
yeah. No,
platform? Yeah.
absolutely, Marcia. And I suppose I'm also, as you're talking, there's so many layers to it, because
Yeah.
there's actually grief there,
Yeah.
there can be grief there, there can be um frustration,
Yeah.
so all of that, and it's coping tools. And I suppose what was going on as well while you were talking was that, in a way, we have sort of, if you can imagine, whatever normal is, because what is normal, but
Yeah.
if we just say, for the sake of saying it, that normal is like speaking an English language,
Yeah.
and that ADHD is just another sort of tweak on that language, but it's the same language, but it is, can I learn to understand?
Yes.
So it is, I suppose as well, can I slow down enough to firstly care for me, to give me the
Yes.
energy to be there, and to slow down enough that I can catch, because it's as well to find out what's actually working here, what's not working,
Yeah.
and that we're able, when we slow down enough, to catch that, as opposed to going into the chaos,
Yeah.
or what can happen in chaos. So, it absolutely, support is vital, um, around just learning this new language, because again, what is normal? Like, am I normal? Are you normal?
No.
What is the criteria to be normal?
And see, this is it. This is with regards to labels. There's so
Yes.
much attached to ADHD, autism,
Mhm.
the certain specifications attached to what exactly I need to
Yes.
have, in order to fit that criteria. Does that make sense? We all have different
Absolutely.
facets that have our own little idiosyncrasies. Does that make
Yes.
sense? Everyone, sensory issues, different aspects of different things,
Yes.
but we're made up of that, and that makes us
Yes.
individually unique. So it's learning our own language attached to what the English means to us. And I
Yes.
think it's individually based then, obviously, enough to find ways to navigate and understand ourselves, and
Yes.
the sense of, self-care and the coping skills that we need in order to have those tools for the here and now and for the future. Very
Yes.
much so.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. I know there's a question just came in here now.
Yeah.
So Anya has just said hi to us. So anybody, even on Instagram, if you want to ask a question. But Sarah has said, I'm having an assessment of ADHD. I'm 37, and it's never been discussed before, but it makes sense with some of the questions that I'm being asked. So again, it is finding a language, and something in that for Sarah is making sense, But
Yeah.
again, it's it's not all of me, as well. It's that, can
Yeah.
I find that language? Can I connect? And
Yeah.
can I, again, it's great, the learning different things. Then we have maybe different coping mechanisms that we can bring into play, that's going to help maybe make our life much easier,
Yeah.
to navigate, and life is difficult for everybody to navigate, that's the piece as well.
It's the ups
Okay.
and downs, isn't it? There's more
Yeah.
to the ups and downs, and more to the sense, that Sarah's saying, isn't it? The sense
Yeah.
that the questions perhaps that they're asking, and it making more sense then with regards to how
Yeah.
perhaps things have been for her throughout her life. So like there's more to the understanding, you
That's
know.
right.
Yeah, completely, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so lovely. So,
Yeah.
have you another question for us?
The other one, I don't mind me, I'll be flipping in and out
That's
these two.
okay.
Um, how can families support a loved one through the process of overcoming substance abuse? Um, so this was another one attached to, how do we, how can we support? It comes back to the support, being there, caring, the overall sense of pulling in other supports, pulling in other aspects attached to, for to be honest, to be open, to
Mhm.
tell them how you're feeling. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Attached to whatever the issue is, be it addiction, in any form, but it's the overall sense of the impact that perhaps they may be aware of or may not. So the steps are to go towards when they believe that there is an issue.
Yes.
Sometimes others might be more aware or see it from a different angle, and then there's
Yes.
more to those issues then being brought to a blind spot. Perhaps that person isn't even aware it's happening. So
Yes.
like it's for them to come into it on their own terms in a way that we support, and to find outlets and to talk and obviously express when we realize what those issues are. So like it's the overall sense for people, for family, there's Al-Anon, there's different aspects of
Yeah,
support groups
yeah.
attached to people that can reach out.
Mhm.
Other people of various different institutions locally, obviously enough as well, and depending on where you are,
Yeah,
that will help support. And obviously enough, there's more to being there to accept, and to, you know, again, to just be present and to say how you feel with regards to it. Um,
absolutely. To be honest as well about, yourself, and to really
yeah,
look at yourself, I suppose over the course of the addiction or living with somebody with an addiction, around the boundaries of what is okay for me and what's not
yeah,
okay for me, and the holding, and that can be really hard, because you're pulled in, because, and again, to be kind and compassionate, but within that, to also hold a boundary around, and sometimes we have to learn how to hold a boundary, because we've never held it,
yeah,
and again, the cycle is, we're part of the cycle, the whole family becomes the cycle, so it's okay. So I can't change the person with the addiction. The person I can change is me. So
yeah,
that's what I would be suggesting, is that you really look at working on you, and getting you well within the cell of the family, so that cellularly then we're able, because my being well actually will vibrate, I believe, in a way,
yeah.
um into the family. So love, yeah, lovely.
Yeah, the self-care aspect, it's like the oxygen mask. If we can't consider ourselves with regards to it, how can we even be there to support anyone else? So there's more in the sense of, you know, coming back to the self-care and prioritizing that self-care, or even having that reflection back on ourselves to support,
Yeah,
again, regardless of any issue. But obviously
yeah.
with addiction, it is, that there's more overall to the sense of being there and prioritizing your own needs and wants. Does that make sense? And perhaps doing or coping skills that perhaps you don't want to anymore. Do you know overall with regards to it? Yeah.
And the best gift we can give is to model.
Yeah.
So by me modeling and taking care of me is actually, because sometimes we can become so overly focused on the person, and again, that can be nearly, it's a very strong word, but nearly abusive, because actually it's for them to empower themselves. What right have we to try and force or push them to do something? um
Yeah.
so it's okay, can I come back, and can I tend to me? um
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's to have that priority. Often enough we look to outside sources, we look
yeah,
to those external factors, and it goes back to childhood. So it's the sense of, queering whether it's selfish to come back and think of ourselves and prioritize our own needs and wants, when perhaps we've always looked to others, that kind of way. So there's a lot to be considered and attached to that, and to the overall sense of, I need to mind me, and that is okay. It's to get to that place.
yes.
And the step forward is the space, is the time, to be able to express and talk. And that's so important overall. Yeah.
Yeah, that I can be, because again, I suppose when we're living with an addict, it's all about them, and we get lost, we can get lost
Yeah.
in it, and we are so busy, outside of ourselves,
Yeah.
that it's really important for us to get a place with inside of ourselves, and also, yes, support and be there.
Yeah.
That is the piece. Yeah, yeah,
It's for the individual as well, isn't it? With regards to the addiction and the effect that it can have with regards to the family members, and the overall dysfunction that can provide, insecurity. It can provide an awful lot with regards to um, that person, and perhaps an ability or lack of ability with regards to it, to necessarily be present for other family members. So it's more to do with, as you said, the addiction, and the sense of, you know, again, considering needs and wants for that person,
yes.
as well as, the family and the overall unit, as you describe yourself.
Absolutely, and as well, what's going on for me, as we're talking, there's, again, like everything, there's layers to it.
Yeah. Very,
In some families, there can be huge financial strain if
yeah,
it's drug addiction, and how that then impacts
yeah,
and shatters families. That's there. Gambling addiction. So I'm gambling with everything, and I suppose it's really important, that once we begin to recognize actually it has a hold of me.
yeah,
It's about finding, and it takes huge courage. It takes huge
definitely.
courage to
Yeah,
just say, that's it. I need help.
yeah.
And and that it's there. It's really important. Yeah. Okay.
The acknowledgement piece is it. It's once you get to that sense of realizing or having that step forward attached to, okay, there is an issue.
Yeah.
Um,
And
there,
we really can't make somebody come to that place, I
no,
think.
no,
We have to find that sore spot ourselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
most
It
assuredly.
has to hurt, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
no.
so we'll move on for another question if that's okay, Marcia.
Of
You can
course.
skip in and out again.
No, no, that's okay. What are the strategies for managing stress in a high pressure work environment? Um, so obviously enough, it comes back to the self care, self compassion. External pressures and things that we have outside of our control. Obviously enough are very much things then that we then need to look at things that we can manage ourselves with regards to
Yes.
that, because often enough, it is the overall sense of the different plates spinning, the different stress bubbles that do occur with regards to managing work, life, obviously enough, children, family, our own our own sicknesses or illnesses. All of these things are stressors, major stressors that can kind of will and always will dip in and out of our lives. So it's very much how do we overall manage? It's to find the tools that mind us, that
Yeah.
then keep us more grounded, keep us more um able to manage in these situations. It comes back to that window of tolerance and the
Yes.
sense of trying to manage to what level we can manage. If I'm at a 7 or an 8 today, well, what do I need to do in order to get myself down to a 5 or 6? Sleep and food are vital parts of that as well with regards to grounding. We often forget how important sleep is fundamentally, and how much food is also needed as a staple to provide that groundedness overall. And we often don't consider those things as things that add to our stress. Do you know, when we might skip things, or we might not have had a full night's sleep due to, children coming in, or,
Mhm.
obviously disturbances with regards to it, or insomnia, various different things that might be going on.
Yeah.
So,
As
oh,
maybe as a direct result of getting myself into a frenzy
yeah,
of this over stressing.
yeah,
And if I am in a high pressured job, um, it's a bit like the athlete, and if I am running a marathon, which is, a high end part of the sport, well, actually I need to look after my body, as you said, work, rest, and play,
yeah,
because again, if I'm not having them, the wise body, I always say it, will scream, you will burn out, and
yeah,
and you will keep going until such a stage as the body, John O'Donoghue says it, the body will drag you down. And it does, and whether that is that you're using sleeping tablets, you're using
yeah,
something to relax you, and again, it's all these substances.
yeah,
Um, but
yeah,
actually, if I again reach out, unload so that I'm able to get myself into a place, because a lot of the time in the high pressure job, I'm living in anxiety of what I have to do rather than actually being with the task.
yeah,
So more focus, more resilience,
yeah,
working on these as muscles, as you would, for your legs or your abs or whatever you need to work on.
yeah,
Work on resilience and focus, and that then is going to make such a difference for you, if it is, because again, and it's to be careful, because addiction is coming up in my mind when I hear the high powered, that actually I get a buzz out of that. I get a buzz of
yeah,
living my stress, and actually, is that okay? What cost is that to me?
yeah. And there's more to the cost when perhaps we don't know what level we're at. If we're
Mm.
constantly at an 8 or a 9 out of 10, and that sense of anxiety and how much we are stressed or how much that pressure is on us,
Yes.
there is probably more to what level am I at, or where am I at?
Yes.
Do I even know what it is to feel a little bit lower? Do you know, when we perhaps get lost in the 8 or 9 consistently, if that is what the high pressure job
Yeah.
inflicts on us, or
Yes.
there's a lot to it overall with regards to reflection or time, and we often don't have it when we're in a high pressured situation.
No. And actually, Marcia, there's so much time.
Yes.
Um, but we tend absolutely to waste so much of it,
Yeah.
and there really is so much time, and but it's not. It's a bit like, okay, so if I was eating breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and there was no break, there's actually no way my system can digest any of
Yeah.
that. There
Yeah.
there have to be breaks. So that's why eat, work, rest, and play is so important, that actually it gives us a chance to digest and assimilate the work,
Yeah.
and it makes us more productive because we're not sluggish with all the work, work, work. We're not burnt out. So it's to relate it, in that way. Sometimes that might help people to see it that way, that actually a break is important. And I suppose as I'm saying that, I know this time of year, junior cert, leaving cert, college
Yeah.
students,
Yeah.
um, that's what's coming into my head now, is around the study. And again, if I'm studying all the time, the information can't be digested.
No.
um, it has to have breaks in order to let so much be processed down and so much be processed down. And it's that seeing that piece can be very important for people who might be studying for exams, to know that breaks are as important as the study.
Yeah, completely. Because if we don't have them, we don't have the reset. How are
Yes.
we meant to stay focused, or stay have that attentive level, that we
Yes.
need to absorb the information? So
Yes.
yeah, completely. It's to take the breaks when we need the break. And I think often enough, there are certain times that they say we can only have a certain amount of attention for when a break is required.
Yes.
Does that make sense? It's
Yes.
the
No, absolutely.
distractions. Yeah, it's the distractions that come in, and different, devices, or obviously enough, all those things that can kind of take away or shift the focus as well, especially with the study. Um,
Yes.
but it is so vital to provide those sense of breaks. It is needed for
Yeah.
that reset.
Yes, and
Um,
and for all of us,
yes,
in all walks of life, even ourselves, in our
yeah,
work, we
yeah,
definitely need that break between, if we've one person at 10 o'clock, so then it's 11:30 when we see the next person, so that
yeah,
it's so important for us that we take these breaks as therapists, and it
yeah,
is
yeah,
it's vital in everything, in everything. I see teachers are quite structured. It's great. They have their morning, they have their tea break, they have their lunch break,
yeah.
they may have another tea break, and then they're home. And these breaks are really important. Okay.
Very much
We'll
so. Yeah.
try we'll try one more question,
Okay.
Marcia, before we go.
The last one, or one of the last ones, is how can I deal with burnout from my job without quitting?
Okay.
So a lot of this would feed back into the sense of the high pressure to the stressed. How there's an awful lot to the work etiquette that there is now, even with regards to COVID, in the sense of not necessarily even providing yourself time for breaks, working till past our times, checking back in on work emails at 10 or 11 at night, and the overall sense of needing to get on top of that stress, or the sense of the workload that is to come. So that it comes back to the self-care, it comes back to the cost, as you describe. It's the overall sense of what is, or what am I doing with regards to working to this level? To
Yeah.
what degree am I affecting myself? To what level am I impacting myself negatively, that I'm
Yeah.
getting to burnout? So it's the overall sense of coming back to the self-care, prioritizing your needs and wants, looking at ways to provide the break, provide the sense of space, to take the time. And often enough, there's so much in getting or coming close to burnout, because I think it's becoming quite commonplace, attached to people at certain stages, feeling that they've come close to, or have actually had burnout. So it's to the level of which, there is that sense of pressure, there is that sense of stress that we're absorbing, and we keep going with, because often it's easier to keep going than it is to actually say no, you know,
Yeah.
or address it in a way that we need to mind ourselves. So the fundamental piece is, you know, I am enough. The self care, I need to consider that. And it's to catch ourselves, you know, often enough it's the sense of realizing that I'm at that limit, that window again. You know, it's the overall sense if I'm coming close to what I know I'm getting to burnout, or I know I need to, you know, have the rest, you know, have the bath, you know, take.
But we ignore it, Marcia, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
and a real reality, which is really important for people, you know, to understand that once we burn out, it is difficult. We can come back from it, but
yeah,
actually it is so difficult because the body is, I suppose it's like on alert for
yeah,
your behavior again. And if it feels in any way that you are doing what you used to do, it shuts down, you know, so the body won't let you go to the level because you ignored yourself, you know, you didn't listen to the alarm signs, and we get little alarm signs that things aren't okay, and it's like, okay, so I really need to listen, because if I don't listen, well then I could be out for months.
yes. So it's the
And
long
that's
term implication. Yeah.
yes, yeah, that's a really
So it's to listen to it as much as we can, and this is where the signs are there. We just need to be aware of them and to actually recognize them in ourselves. And obviously, in doing that, then we can catch ourselves. You know, it's the overall sense of the ability is there, but sometimes we don't listen as you described there. So there's an awful lot to the not listening when the signs are there.
yeah,
So it's how do we listen more? Do you know, how do we pay attention when we need to pay attention to ourselves and what our body needs and what we need?
yeah. And
Yeah,
you know, I always sort of use the analogy because again with the brain, and we sort of know with science that we go into the lifespan development, that there's a child in all of us, and sometimes, you know, it is really it's the child that we have doing all of this. You know, we're running, running, running. You know, this body is doing all this work, but we're not there. We're running to the next task and the next task and the next task, and it's like, you know, would you let a 2 year old or a 5 year old do what you're doing, you know, or would you, you know, if your friend was really doing all you were doing, you know, would you be okay with that? And sometimes it's we need to stand back from ourselves to see, because we can be so hard on ourselves and we push and push and push, and I'm
yes,
not saying, you know, we need to push a little bit ourselves because
yes,
otherwise we're not going to move,
yeah,
and you know, there's growth in that.
yeah.
But it's when it goes to extremes that actually the body is going to say, mm-mm, I'm out of here.
It's the overall sense of expectations, isn't it, on ourselves attached
Yeah.
to those high levels that,
Yes.
you know, perhaps there's so much to those expectations and how much we ourselves put ourselves to those expectations, or how hard we are on ourselves to
Yes.
then reach a level where things start to become not manageable because of so many different aspects perhaps that are, or I am getting towards burnout, I am getting more stressed. So yeah, there is so much in the engagement of it, or to realize when and how we can catch ourselves in this
Yeah.
completely. Yeah.
Yeah, and probably listening to others, you know, if somebody is
Yes.
saying, "Hey, I think, geez," you know, and again, just let the seeds drop, you know. But
Yeah.
again, when you're in full flight and you're heading towards burnout, you're probably not seeing anything. You're blinded
No.
by everything.
You couldn't, because obviously enough there's the overall sense of you're on that path that you've been on all along. So we keep going down that path. It's only in the realization, perhaps of hindsight, you know,
Yes.
to realize that it's coming again and the overall sense of it. But there is so much to, you know, the level of which we can push ourselves to. And then to what degree does it overall affect us? And as you said, the body does remember and the body does keep the score, you
Yeah.
know, so it's the
Absolutely.
over,
That's a
yeah,
Vanderbilt.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So like,
which is super.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's just a
And that's the
fundamental,
great thing. It may
yeah,
seem like the worst thing in the world, but actually that's the gift. You
yeah,
know, when you actually hit that bang because you haven't been listening to yourself.
no,
And it is that's then the time to begin to make the changes. And you know, sometimes we're lucky to get to there. Other times it can be a
Yeah.
heart attack, or it can be and we're gone. You know,
Yeah.
that actually burnout mightn't be the worst thing,
Yeah.
but it does debilitate you, and it does take time to come away from it. Yeah.
Yeah. Most definitely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Marcia. Tonight has been really, really, really great. So we're live on Instagram and on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube, I think. And so what
Okay.
I'm going to do with this is, because it's just me that's on Instagram, I'm going to not save that one. I'll save this one and put that up on Instagram so that they can see you. So it would be really great if maybe tell us what your hearing is, what you would like to hear and continue to hear. Um, and again, thank you so much for the questions that came in this evening. So we're really delighted with all the questions and the feedback that we are getting from Ask the Therapist. So please tell people about us, about counseling online, about the work we do, um, and who we are as I suppose as a service that so looking to support people, and I suppose everyone in the team is a therapist except for Claire, our great admin, who's keeping
Yeah.
tabs on all of us. So and it's really great for us all to be part of this together. So again, next week, I don't know who's joining with me, um, but I'm sure, Marcia, you are going to be back again. And if you would
Definitely.
like,
Thank you so much.
if anybody feels that they would like to work with Marcia, please go into our website. You will get, and we're trying to be very cool here. We have a QR code on the top of this screen, and you will get into the website there. If you go into our therapist, you will find Marcia there, and you can read all about Marcia in the bio. So
Thank you.
until next week, thank you so much, and please like and share our page. Thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
so much for listening, everyone. Bye for
Okay.
now.